Which brings me to this deal, this power couple that I'm about to introduce to you. They did exactly what they were supposed to. They followed the roadmap. They did not reinvent the wheel. Now, these are two highly intelligent individuals. And this seems the smarter they are, especially if they're engineers. I love all you engineers, but you guys try and reinvent the wheel. They didn't do that. They followed the roadmap. They did what so many others that have been so successful before them have done. And they are doing it, and they are crushing it, guys, crushing it. And I got to walk beside them through the entire acquisition process and through this deal that they're going to present to you. So without further ado, I'd like Matt and Stephanie to jump on here. Thanks for joining us today. Super excited to share this fantastic deal. You guys have done such a great job with it. So if you would just kick it off a little bit and tell everybody a little bit about your background in a nutshell.
So I have been in building homes and for about 8 to 10 years. Back up a little, I'm from Maine, up in New England, so but I've lived down here for about 20 years. And I've been building homes. I've started my own roofing company all within the past 10 years. Down in Kessler Park, I was tearing houses down and designing and building them back up and selling them as spec homes. And then after about 7 or 8 years of that, of working 20-something odd hours a day, 6 days a week, it just got exhausting. I always had the mindset of making my money work for itself. I got very good returns in the home building, but it was requiring. I was paying it. I was having to pay my time for it as well. So for, I don't know, probably about, this was about 1.5 years ago, for about 6 months, I do a lot of driving with the roofing and the building. And I was about 6 months, I was listening to the radio, 11 o'clock every morning, 10:60 a.m. And Del Walmsley was on. I had no idea who he was. I was very skeptical in a lot of real estate markets and quote unquote gurus. But he spoke my language, or actually I probably spoke his, so he's been doing a lot longer than I have. But I clicked with what he was saying. She was the opposite. She was a very conservative. When we buy our personal home, we want to put down as much as we can. And I always tell her that, no, that's dead equity. And so I was always trying to make my money work for, because I knew I could take it and invest it better than just keeping it in a personal home or whatever. And so after about 6 months, that was the only exposure I had to lifestyles. And didn't know anybody physically within it, didn't go to any case studies. I just heard Del on the radio every day for about an hour. And then I think one day I just came home and said, babe, I got to talk to you about this guy. Like I got to go to this thing. They're having this thing called an Expo. I've already signed up for it. It's down in Houston. I'm going. And she's like, no, I'm going with you because I don't want you to get scammed. So she signed up. I wasn't even a member. I paid for the highest one to go down there because I wanted to do as much as I could. I got down there, I didn't even realize that I had literally no access to anything because I was just someone there kind of meeting people. And so after that weekend, she was on board. She could really understand it for as much as you can in the weekend. And we took off from there. So that's just in a nutshell. There's a lot more details, but that's in a nutshell.
Okay, Matt. So you work crazy hours, killing yourself, kind of like what David Fisher said, worried about potentially having a stroke in your 40s. And Del said what?
Let your money work for you.
Okay. And talk to us a little bit more about, let's see, you talked about the foreclosures. Okay, we jumped into all this. Go to the next slide. The slide gods. Okay. Beckley Apartments in Glen Heights. Fantastic property. Go ahead, talk to us about this.
I want to talk to you about this one. So we joined in February of last year and then had been looking and doing our MFQAs. There was a couple of properties we ran into, but then this one was presented to us, and it was built in 1955. It was 14 units. It looks pretty great from the exterior. We bought it for 1.8, I'm sorry, 1,080,000, and we put 271,000 down. Financed 813 at 4.75 over 25 years. And we just budgeted about 20K for CapEx.
Sure, capital expenses.
Yeah.
Yeah, this property was in really good shape too. I mean, you just see the pictures here, and I remember touring it with you guys, and it was just fantastic. And the yards are great, and the place stays full, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, they all have their own individual backyard, so that was a big bonus as well.
We literally only have to put up a sign with a phone number, and we get
I get
an astronomical amount of phone calls
30 to 40 calls a day.
just to want to fill out an application for the property.
Yeah.
So we do zero marketing.
And when we bought it, there was one vacancy, so 14. So there was only one vacancy, and I did a good quick remodel. Remodeled the bathrooms, backsplash, new paint, light fixtures, kind of like the lifestyle model. And we had someone moving in the day I was finished. So lost next to no time, maybe 3 weeks, just in the rehab time. So and added a washer and dryer hookup.
Now I'm listening to this, and I understand you guys did well in life, and you had bought this, took it down by yourself. You had 271 grand. So anybody out there, if you have larger amounts of money, you want to buy an apartment like this by yourselves, you can do it 270 grand. But not all deals are done as an IRO. Now, IRO is an independent rental owner. They bought this by themselves, right? But the new guy listening going, I only got 50K. I can't do this because I don't have 270K. Alex, can you explain what a passive investor is, just so that people listening for the first time, how they can make the same returns when a show, even though partnerships and like that happen? Can you explain a little about that, Alex? I just want to make sure people know they're new.
Yeah, sure. So we have this exactly what David said. This is an IRO, an independent rental owner, right? But if we had another deal similar to this, bigger, smaller, whatever the case may be, you have a syndication, which is simply a lead, one individual and some passive investors, a group of passive investors. They all pool their money together. Now, the job of the lead, everybody actually in the group has a job, and I'll explain. The job of the lead is to make sure the property performs, the renovations get done if there are any needed, and send out monthly reports to the limited partners or the passive investors. Now, the job of the passive investor is critical and very important for the success. They have to take possession of the mailbox money, either the mailbox money, or nowadays, most of us are just doing an electronic deposit. That is all the passive investor does. But Matt and Stephanie, they do it all. So that's essentially the syndication model.
Right, and just so new folks, people invest as little as 25K in these deals. So you can put in 25,000 or 50,000. You still own part of the deal. You still have the tax benefits and all that. So I just want to make sure the new people know that they see at 270, like I don't have 270. So I want to make sure the new people know that.
And Dave, to kind of touch on that, so I spent 8 years kind of in this model, but in a whole different kind of way, but building homes, tearing down. And I started out with nothing, and so but I also was working 20 hours a day, and it took me 8 years to come up with that.
Well, I can tell because you have the same hairstyle as Alex.
Not everybody can wear it, so
yeah.
But I'm just saying, so I didn't just, that money just didn't fall in my lap. It took 8 years to build that up.
But I'm just saying, the little guy with 25 or 50K, they can do this as well. You didn't know about this before, Matt. I bet you wish you knew about this 10 years ago, correct?
Yeah, that was my point. It took me 8 years to get to that 20 hours a day. I wish I'd known this before, because I would have gone a whole different route. Yeah.
So really quick, I want folks listening, because some people are thinking about going to the Expo, Matt. You went to the Expo, and it kind of calmed your fears, did it not?
So the Expo was my first physical experience. It was the only experience in lifestyles, except for hearing Dell on the radio. Okay, so I'm walking into this, I have no idea what it is. And there were thousands of people there. And not just thousands of people, thousands of pigs. Well, the preferred event, right? So they're the people that have been in this for years. And my first thought is, you just don't get this many people that keep coming back and coming back and coming back, and just, it's like they were a family. They were all talking like they hadn't seen, like they were brothers and sisters. And I'm going, a scammer can't make this happen. So I think my fears were not, I think those settled hers, but for me, it just confirmed a lot of things. And yeah, when I went down there, we met good friends Derek and Kelly, so we just got close to them. They've been to our house since then. They live up north of Michigan. So, you just connect with people like that. They were in line with us, and we just got to be close with them. And then before you know it, it's just you start talking to people and meeting people. And yeah, it's like a family. So.
And so you met a lot of other investors that were invested apartments, and they're probably regular members, not people that work for Lifestyles, but regular members like yourself. Good. I made 100% return. I made a 200% return. Did those stories help Stephanie get over her fears at all, or she was still skeptical until she went through the seminar? I just want to know what happened there.
No, don't get offended, David. We didn't even know who you were at the time.
That's okay. I understand that. I was the good-looking one.
No, you were the one that was standing up on the table trying to get everybody to line up. And I'm like, who is this guy? And then the very next people we met was Derek and Kelly. And then the only person after that was actually your wife, and didn't even know who she was. And she was so excited. Yeah, your wife. Yeah. I didn't even know who she was. Yeah. And I think because she's a nurse. And so, yeah, so they clicked. And so I think that was, I paid your wife later, but no, no, she was, so yeah, we heard story after story after story, people just getting started and just in their first deal, to people that are leads that are trying to find passives. And
Good. Yeah, I want to make sure people understand a little bit about the Expo is a cool event that they could go to. Even though you had no experience with Lifestyles, it gave you an opening door there. It was kind of neat for you.
Yeah, they welcomed us like we were part of the original group. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And then when you went to this seminar, where did you go to the seminar? Or did you go to the seminar then? Or how did you watch online, or what did you do?
So when we went to the Expo, then we came back and we did the next one online, and we became pigs that
Okay.
and then we got her father-in-law and mother-in-law, and they've invested in quite a few deals in Lifestyle.
Oh, so it's like a legacy thing. The whole family got involved.
Yeah, next is my daughter. So she's 13.
You got over your skepticism eventually.
I did, yeah, because in addition to just like Matt was saying, all of the family feel, and you actually get and you see all of the people working together. They weren't at each other. They weren't in it for themselves. They were all very, like I said, just building relationships. It's a team effort. But then the training was real hands-on and very deep in application, which it made me feel great. Like hey, this is what you do. This is the first process, and you go to here. You just have all these classes that were just really rich and gave a ton of information. So you could tell that the models were successful because of all of the education that was behind it.
Whose online version did you watch? You watch mine, Lee's, Greg's, Dell's? Who's
Yours? Yours.
Oh,
yeah.
So you went to mediocre. Okay.
No. And I think another big key was people were open about their finances, about their deals, about the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I've been around several real estate people, and they're closed mouth. They keep their mouth shut about it. Everything's a secret. They don't want to know your secrets. Like they will at Lifestyles, they would just spew out any secret that they had, which it wasn't a secret, just any information, just flooded you with it. And that was big for me, because when I started building houses, I had never even been in the building world. And I learned it all trial and error. I started from nothing, and I was building, pretty expensive houses by the time I got done. And I learned a lot the hard way. And I said, I am not going to do that again. I am not going to, my goal was to get in multifamily, but I said, I am not going to go ahead and do this in trial and error again. And so that's why I never.
Hard knocks does not work. Yeah.
What's that?
The school of hard knocks does not work.
No, it's not. And so I'm like, I have got to be in a group. I've got to be around people. I've got to be around people that I can learn from, and not just learn from like what Alex said. where to listen to and not try to recreate the wheel, or reinvent the wheel. Like that's what we found there, and we took it in, and we went full speed ahead and had our first property in 8 to 9 months.
First time, just so you know, I don't mean to interrupt Alex by doing this, but this is real stuff right here. I want to hear real stuff from a member and their experience at Expo and stuff. And that's why I did this a little bit, because, you know, if they're watching for the first time, here's real people where the wife's skeptical and stuff like that. And she's a nurse. My wife's a nurse. It's funny. I didn't know you guys had a conversation. That's kind of funny. So did you talk about the word disimpacting? Just wondering.
You what?
Disimpacted.
Never mind. I'm just trying to be funny, but she thinks it's funny. Matt's
That'll
like,
be the next Expo.
she'll tell you about that later.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, Alex, you can take back over, but thank you so much for sharing that little bit with us, guys. Because I had somebody actually message me about what the Expo or whatever, and I know you guys had some experience at the Expo, and I wanted to kind of have you guys give an unsugar-coated your version of it. So it was kind of cool.
We need to do 2 a year. That's my opinion.
Yeah, 2 a year.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing it up in Irving, Texas this year, just so you guys know. So,
Oh, cool.
you guys going?
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Of course.
absolutely.
All right, Alex. I'm sorry.
Ah, it's good. It's good stuff. Okay, next slide.
Oh, by the way, the slide god is actually me.
Oh, you're the slide guy.
When I'm
Okay.
slacking, it's me because I'm playing Marvel Contest of Champions. And you
Uh-huh.
know, I mean, really, this is Dungeons and Dragons. We have to have practice like when you're a millionaire.
Pay attention, David.
I'm sorry.
Squirrel.
Okay.
Okay, squirrel.
You
All
want
right.
me to just run through all these, all the numbers?
Yeah, just basically touch on them real quick.
Okay. So basically this is off of the 4 months that we've owned the property. If I annualize that, our income is 150K. Our expenses are 51. Our monthly cash flow is roughly around $5,000, and that's after property taxes. So our NOI for the year should be about $98,000. Cash on cash return is 11.4%. We have not taken any of our distributions back yet. We've just left the monthly cash flow in an account, but we probably will do that and pay ourselves around Q3. So if we were to turn around and sell the property at this point, maybe
Well,
within
next
a year to year and a half, we're thinking it would be about 1.5, worth 1.5 million at around 6.5 cap rate.
So, David, I know what you're going to say here, David, at least part of what you're going to say. So you guys see this at a 6.5% cap rate. And I know that it's like me speaking Latin to those non-Latin students, okay? All this will be made known to you, and you see how they bought the property for just over $1 million. And you're thinking, well, how could it be worth over 1.5 million a year later? And based on an NOI and the cap rate and blah, blah, blah. David will break it down and explain it all to you so it makes sense. Now we just want to present it to you high level and expose you to some of the terminology and just get it out there so that when we do present it, you'll say, oh yeah, you'll be able to relate it back to this property and back to this slide where they were talking about, oh, they bought it for $1 million, but now it's worth 1.5 million because they're increasing the rents. You heard Matt gets 30 plus calls a day and they put a phone number on the side of the building. I mean, what a fantastic business model, right? When you need customers selectively, put your number up. That's it, right?
And here's the one sentence version for the brand new people. That's all gobbledygook, like he said. I'm going to break it down to a 3rd grade level so guys like me who got an F in English could understand it, okay? I don't have all the degrees these guys have. They're all smarter than me, even though they're bald. So the one number well, Stephanie's not bald, but the rest of them. So the one number, if you're brand new, to understand, and there's like one number I'll point out at every slide. Like the last one's cash out of pocket. I don't have 270K. Well, what if I have 25K? What if I have 50K? The return matters. From year one, they're going to make 11% return tax-free. So that's all you need to know. How many investments do you have a 11% return tax-free from year one? That's peeing your pants exciting. I mean, that's a good number. So that's what you need to know if you're new, okay?
Wait till we get to year 2 and 3 projections.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, next slide. Matt, Steph, take it away.
Yeah, so these are just quick before and after. If you look at the two on the left, just simple things like taking an old white light and putting in a nice new fresh one. On the right side, the before on the right side of the pictures, that set is a before and after of adding a washer and dryer hookup. So, and then it's hard to see from the picture, but all new paint. The before and after on the left is the backsplash. This one already had granite countertops. The cabinets were painted perfectly. They just need to be cleaned up. And then so we just added a new backsplash. On the right side is
Matt, you were so excited to show a picture of backsplash, you didn't even put grout in it.
I didn't need to.
You didn't need to put grout?
It's a no grout backsplash.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Saves me money. So I'm a builder. Like I know what a crunch is. I definitely have those. And on the right side is instead of hey, do I put a countertop on the sink on the I said, I'm just gonna pull it out. I'm gonna put a new one in there. It's just a better, cleaner look. New faucet. And then the next slide will show you this one. There was mold in there and stuff, so we had to pull it out. When I did, I found out that I guess these were remodeled about 10 years ago because it was a burn. I found all new, it was spray foam insulation in the walls. For as boring to some people, to me, that means energy's low. The energy bills are low, so I was pretty excited about that. And we just did a new shower, new clean, new fixtures, shower floor. We kept the tile. The tile was in great shape. And a lot of people down there, for some reason, they prefer tile over a vinyl or whatever. So.
Yeah, it looks high end. I mean, it's clean and functional. It's exactly what Alex teaches. And
Yeah.
some people go overboard. You didn't. It's workforce housing, guys. This is perfect. It's beautiful.
And I do a little bit something different too. I'll take the tile all the way to the ceiling, just for water and mold purposes. So.
Right.
And it doesn't cost much to do that, and it's less maintenance for you. So well worth
It's a lot better too. Yep.
Being smart.
And as Alex brought up, which I would always do when I built, but you always want to look at like the shower head, just details, right? If that shower head is low, you want to raise it, just things like that. Just add a little something here, a little something there to make it feel like they're home.
Yeah, because a lot of these shower heads, folks, for those of you listening, you buy these properties built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, the shower heads are about at 5 feet off this floor.
Yep.
So guys,
That's because everybody had osteoporosis back then.
Apparently so. So, yes, you do want to demo out that. I mean, so you've got a couple choices. You could demo out and make it a beautiful bathroom like that, or you get this little S tube thing here that'll raise it up about 12 inches and, it's okay. It works. It's functional, but Matt did it right.
And
really, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, so after this whole freeze, like I went back and checked all the pipes up in the attic and stuff, and I walked in that unit was the vacant one. And I walked in, and I'm not kidding you, like I almost had a tear in my eyes. The new resident was like, it's like she was a designer, and you could just tell that she just made it her home. And she just got out of a bad divorce and lived in her house for 30 years. And so this was new to her, small, tiny, confined. And it's, I don't know if she would have done that had it not made it nice, fresh and clean and taken it from like a class C to a class B look. And they just she just, you can tell she just takes care of it. So it's just good to see that. So the fruit of that.
Yep.
So Alex, do a high level on this, because all that numbers gobbledygook when they're new. It really comes to bottom line. Why don't you explain that to them?
Okay. All right. So the big numbers for this presentation to look at, for me, maybe a little higher level than David wants, but that's too bad. I love to look at that income bump. Okay. 139K in year one, then bump over to year three, 147K on 14 units, guys. That's pretty big. Okay. And then you squirrel all the way down to the very bottom, your cash on cash return. Okay. Your net cash flow divided by your total out of pocket. That's how you get those figures. all right? Getting an 11, 13, 14% return on your steady investment, okay? Other than that, your expenses are going to go up. People wonder, well, why are your expenses going up if you're managing it the way you're managing it? Well, because utility costs go up, labor can go up, things of that nature, inflation, costs go up. We don't necessarily come into these properties and look to just demolish and remove all the expenses and cut key elements. We keep the key players in the game and we just streamline them, make them more efficient and more productive.
Yeah.
All right, David, next slide.
Here's where it gets fun, guys.
Yep, this is the big one right here. So just to touch on this, total out of pocket with CapEx, things of that nature, you see that there. And then here's the equity capture. Okay, you see where they bought it, right? Property value, and then you move over to year one, and that valuation that David is going to explain to you how they get there in that first year and having that 400K in equity capture. And then again, as the NOI increases, using that mysterious 6.5% cap rate, you see how year two and year three, how the property value increases and the equity capture goes out. And they'll be able to really realize that when they do a disposition of the asset, which is a PhD word for sell the asset, or if they do a cash out refi, okay? In addition to the cash flow projected of $787,000, look at the return in 3 years. Where else can you do that? How does that make you feel, Stephanie?
Keep my pants excited.
There you go. See, I am a great mentor for this, David.
That's weird. That was the first time I've ever heard her say it, and that sounded weird come out of her mouth.
You did great, Stephanie.
See, my microphone's off. I can't even hear myself laugh, but man, that's awesome. Very proud of you guys. I mean, 1 year in the lifestyles, you guys are going to make over 200% return. That's freaking awesome, right?
And then up to a 14% cash on cash return on top of that. What a great investment.
Yeah, it's like I'm excited. It's hard to express it, you know, because for years I worked to even, you know, to even get close to a return like this, and we did it in a year. Well,
I mean, think about that. You work 20, 30 years of your job, scrimping away, saving up. You finally have 350 grand. You buy one deal and boom, within a couple of years, you're going to double your money. That's going to be pee in your pants. I mean, that's just awesome. And that's why I say you can't do this for single family, but you can in multifamily. You can move bigger chunks of money. That's why I love it, what you're doing with the cap rate and all that. So, man, this is exciting.
I couldn't have done this on my own. I knew nothing about single family rental, multifamily. I knew nothing about it. I knew how to tear a house down and build it and put roofs on. That's all I knew. And so I knew how to make my money work over there with me working, but I'm saying I knew nothing about this, and I still have a ton to learn. But just the Alex is he's great. But just the advice, and Sadie, our realtor, she was amazing. And
she's a lifestyles realtor. Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, yes, correct. She's a lifestyle realtor, you know, but when you come in and you show them that you want to learn and you're going to listen and that you're a go-getter and you're not just going to kick tires and kick tires and kick tires. I mean, you might need to kick a few in here and there and it might get cold, but eventually you got to pull the trigger, right? And so, and just through all of that, we just created a great relationship, the three of us, well, the four of us, but it's I couldn't have done it without him. I just could. I would have probably bought my first one and gone bankrupt. Honestly, just there's so much to learn. The MFQA is to me sometimes, but like the more you learn, the more you understand it. It's just valuable. So very valuable.
So now you got this piggy bank. It's throwing up money. It's like an ATM machine. Stephanie, who was my skeptic, because she's a nurse and wipes butts all day, because that's what they do. So what do you feel now a year later, Stephanie? How do you feel about this?
I'm just really thankful because you know, I think it was in a previous slide or maybe upcoming, but, you know, he's self-employed, so he didn't even have a 401k. And now, like, we see that there's a path where he can retire and that, you know, we can just have our money passively making money to where he can quit eventually. He doesn't have to work so hard, so long. We've been in a position this year to give money to church organizations, to people that we knew needed help. And just to be able to do that is such a blessing for us
Absolutely.
as a family.
And you're still a nurse, correct, Stephanie?
I am by paper only. I retired like 5 years ago because
Okay.
I was helping him work his roofing job.
Business. So you sacrifice too. That's cool. Okay, I get it. You're a team then. That's awesome. So do you guys, I just want to know, because, you know, me and my wife, we run all our properties, you know what I mean? She's in charge of operations. I'm in charge of acquisitions. Do you guys split up the duties at all, or how are you running your apartment? Because we were going to ask this later. I'm just going to preempt that.
Yeah, so on this one, who we bought it from had a management company running it. They were also lead, had other investors, and so we felt like the best way to do it was to be the managers and to run it that way, and to learn that way. Down the road, if we want to pass some of that off, I know Alex and I will have that talk again. He wants me to create my own company to run it, but we'll see how that works. But regardless, her doing, she deals with a lot of the computer stuff. As you guys know, I can barely turn the camera on our thing here. And I deal with the people down there, and the you know, I'll do a service call. I'll do it myself if I have to, you know, or I'll get to send a plumber once in a while. I'm in charge of the remodels and any of the roofing, so any of the physical stuff down there. And then I take the phone calls when we have a vacancy, and then meet. I don't want her to go down and meet because it could be a guy or whatever by himself. So I go down and do all the meeting. And she handles the stuff that takes her an hour to do would take me 8 hours to do. So yeah, we work very well together.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's a good balance. You know each other's skill sets, and that's great. So
We've
here's
got a lot to learn. I know that we can. It's probably going to take another 6 months for it to be seamless, and to get it, to get the right people. And hey, and so that's where. But together going through that, I mean, there's been some bumps and bruises, and I don't know if I can work with you. I'm like, well, I don't know either. If I couldn't work with me either, but so I mean, that's honest, right? You're gonna have some of those, but you work through it, and it just makes you stronger. And yeah, I think as far as the sharing the duties, we have kind of found each other's position in that. So.
Now, I don't want to feed this other guy's ego over here, Alex, but man, he's like a superstar mentor. I know he's like a hands-on guy. He'll go out to those properties and help you. For the new folks who are listening, what's it like having a mentor? Does he make a phone call? Did he ever actually even go to the property? Would you mind sharing a little bit of your experience, how Alex helped you through this process, just so the new people get an idea what a mentor actually does from your perspective?
How much time do I have, honestly?
Well, just do it.
I mean that. It's kind of funny. When we signed up for Lifestyles, we were trying to get a hold of some of the mentors, and we had a hard time. But the reason was because COVID had hit, and people were just scrambling to try to figure out what's going to happen with all the residents, right? And so I called up Alex, and he picked up the phone on the first call. And ever since then, man, if I call him, granted he's busy all day long, but if I call him, he will either get back with me immediately or maybe later that day. But he always gets back. He always answers text messages. He doesn't treat me like, because I guarantee I'll ask the same question probably 3 times, and he just treats it like it was the first. And he did tell me this. Give me your goals, and I will be sure to hold you to them, right? I'm a pretty driven guy, but sometimes you need to be reminded of why you're doing what you're doing, and because it's not always easy, and so you have that person, and it's not just someone that's getting into it. He's got 2,000 doors And to the point where, you know, we actually invested in one of them with him as that he's the KP in. And so we're, you know, as passives, so we're passives as well, in property in Tyler. And so just through all that, I think we've gained each other's trust, and his knowledge is like I've never seen. I'm not saying that because he's right here. I'm talking like when I listen to him, and I probably regurgitate about 10% because I can't understand everything he's talking about. And then he says it again, I get it the second time, but he's just full of information. And that's what I needed. I needed someone to mentor me. I didn't have that in my other you know, business. I learned it all myself. I have someone to mentor me. Now, it doesn't mean now you're on autopilot. You still got to do your work.
Yeah.
And you know, and still got to have someone there to encourage you. That's how he's been to me.
Has Alex ever had to give you tough love, telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear? Has that happened at all with you, or are you a good listener?
Oh, well, yeah, and you know, absolutely, yeah. He's if you ever have had a 10-minute conversation with Alex about property and you being an investor in one, you're gonna walk away knowing who pretty much had that conversation, and you don't walk away going, I wonder what Alex was thinking, you know. But he does it in a way that is teachable. That's not demeaning. It doesn't put you down. It doesn't make you feel like you're less than him. He always brings you up here with him. You know, like with the roofing sometimes, like he comes to me and goes, hey, Matt, you know how I am with you? That's how you are with me with roofing. Like I'm down here and you're talking to me about it up here. And so, anyway, so with that being said, he's very hands-on, very teachable, teaches very well. And we'll repeat and repeat if you need.
Yeah. Went to the property with us, walked several different properties with us when we were even looking at the other ones that we never ended up buying. But with the spreadsheets, with the
that's the most common question I get in the seminar. They don't believe me. I'm like, no, Alex actually goes out these properties with you guys. So I want to make sure they heard it from you guys.
He's been to 3 or 4 with me. Thunderbird, we went there. That was we ended up not getting that one. But he is like, as long as you set, I mean, I can't expect him to, hey, call him at 9 in the morning and be there at 10. We got to set up a schedule because he's pretty busy. But he never ever turned down, hey, let's go look at this property ever. So the one out in Weatherford as well.
Anybody else you want to give a shout out to on your team there? I know you mentioned him as a mentor. I don't know if there's anybody else.
Yeah, go to that slide. Where's that?
Go to that slide. We still got, yeah. So go to the next one.
Okay.
Let's see if I think we touched on this. Yes. Touched on no 401k. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah.
A quick story about the 401k. She had one. She was a nurse for 12 years, so she had one. And during COVID, I mean, you saw that thing drop like a bag of rocks, right? And so I said, I'm waiting for it to come up. We're pulling everything we can. And so we did. We left a little bit in there for, you know, we'll pull if we need to, but by law, whatever, I don't know how that works, but they don't let you take everything. But we took about 60-70% of it out and used it to help invest towards this property. So.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of members that once they start making money, they're like, all that stuff that we use a technical term in the industry for those different financial investments, crap. You get rid of all that crap and you invest in something that makes sense, which is multifamily. Alex is a good example. He burned the ships at the shore, no going back. He'll tell that story on Sunday. So yeah, I understand that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your goal next.
Okay, so short-term goals. I want to acquire at least one more property in the next 2 years, one more multifamily.
We'll beat that. Beat that.
Yeah. So that's one. Oh, so I meant 10. I meant 10 properties.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
No.
Everything, and he does it.
Right. Yeah. And then to sell Beckley or cash out refi in the next 2 to 3. If we can really get what we think we can, it may be sooner than that. And so we got to learn to not be married to our properties and not get tied up and emotionally tied up in them. So, and then to double our net worth. That's our short-term goal over the next couple of years.
And do you know how you double your net worth? There's 3 rules I taught you on investing in the seminar. I don't know if you remember rule number 3. Do you know what it is? Throwing you on the spot. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2 is must have cash flow. And there's the 3rd rule. I don't know if you remember it.
I don't.
It's okay. Well, I thought she just said it. Did you just say it? What did you say? No, look, Danielle's giving you a hint.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. I remember that.
It's the hardest one for us to take. It's sort of like you just said, maybe one, and then Alex had to up your game. Because this is what happens to all investors who come to my seminar. They start buying houses, they start making money. They buy an apartment, starts making money. And they're like, wow, I don't want to let go. You can't get rich slow means you have to give up what you have for what you can become. If you really want to double and triple your net worth, it's like every 2 years, you got to make a major action. Sorry, I'm getting excited.
Hang on to it, what it's called, it's debt equity.
Exactly. That's the right word, Matt.
And even if you cash out refinance, you can't cash out all of your money. So you can only get a percentage of it.
Well, Matt, let's rephrase that. It's not debt equity because that doesn't win people's hearts and minds over. They don't understand it. Do you know what the word is? Do you know, Alex, what word do I say? You don't know? Opportunity cost. Opportunity.
Yes.
The point is that's what it is. Debt equity confuses people, but I say opportunity cost. If you leave that 100 grand in there, you can buy another one or double that. So that's what it is.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm excited for you guys, man. This is awesome.
So long-term goals. I want to be retired in 5 years. So
or less.
Or less. Yes. That's aggressive, but I think we can do it. So. And then a big one is, and we will have to own some more apartments to get to number 2 on our long-term goals. But I want to be an IRO. We want to be IROs of 100 units. Whether that means us managing it, creating our own management company, or bringing one on, I don't know those details yet. But we want to have 100 units in probably the next 5 years. So, and then. Why do I do this? I do this for my family. I do this be able to give people, to give back. I want each one of my kids to have their own apartment building by 18, by the time they're 18. Call me crazy, but my 13-year-old daughter, who's been sitting here the whole time, she's just watching, and we're looking to get her a single family to get her feet wet and get into that. So it's got to be a big picture. Long-term goals. If you're narrow-sighted and all you have is you and your wife and in mind, or bigger cars or whatever, that's not us. We see the big picture. I got people in church that are just, how do I do this? How do I get into this? So that it's about helping other people. So and that is my long-term goal, where I can, like Alex always says, or you might be you that says it. Actually, no, it's Dell. I'm sorry. Where he says that you haven't really retired until you can give back and mentor somebody else, and you're not too busy in your business that you can't mentor somebody else. If you are too busy where you can't mentor, you haven't retired yet. And so that's kind of where I want to be. So.
Yep, that's 100% true. Dell told me that sitting at his kitchen table. I remember it to this day, and boom, helping people do that. Now, I want to address something to all the listeners that Matt and Stephanie mentioned here in their long-term goals. He's talking about retiring in 5 years or less. David did it in 2, I did it in 4, and I was that guy who's like, yeah, I hope to retire in 5 years or less. But the crazy thing is, and you all will see this, especially once we get back to these live presentations where we do the lead meet and greets, and you'll see these lead investors walk across the stage and introduce themselves to everybody in the that's watching. And you'll hear them talk about, hey, I just want to let everybody know I quit my job and I retired. The golden handcuffs, 6-figure income, gone, right? But Matt's talking about buying a 100-unit IRO. I was talking with my grandmother about this, how I can do this. And she's like, well, if you can other people? I'm like, absolutely. I know exactly what to do because other members have done it. And the roadmap is there to do it. And he's talking, well, should we have our own property management company? And we can talk about that. Here are the pros, here are the cons. Do you want this or third party? All of that is available. And for every single member who wants to go down this path, it is freely given for all members.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to make that clear to everybody who's listening. When you have these goals and you're thinking, me own a 100-unit apartment complex, how is that possible? It most certainly is possible, but it does take work, perseverance, patience, and a little bit of sacrifice. None of this comes freely as an owner operator. Now, for you passives, like I said, you have the most critical role of all, which is to collect the distributions on a quarterly basis.
And really quick, Matt,
follow the system, follow the lifestyles system. Like if you're gonna even try to, go ahead.
before we go to who's on your team and we get to the question and stuff, I have a question because there's always new people watching, right? And they've never been to my seminar before, that might be coming this weekend. What advice, think back to when you watched my seminar that first time. What advice would you give to new people who never did real estate investing before? What advice, remember when you were new, what advice would you give to new people?
Within multifamily, you mean?
Whatever your feelings of what you learned from the 2-day or what you took home, the big aha moment, whatever advice you give somebody new on real estate investing.
You got one? I've got several because I've been listening to you guys for a long time.
Yeah.
But just to keep it simple, like I said, and I just said it, to follow the path, right? Follow the path and to lean on the people that are there to help you. That, I think that is the biggest advice. It's we especially me coming from where I'm from, in the building and in the real estate, like I have a tendency to do things my way. And I could not do that this time. I knew that I had to follow them all. And I don't know how many times I'd have Alex get me back on the track. Not stuff that I had done, but my thoughts that I'd had. And he would just get me back on track, and I'd listen to it and I'd follow. That was one. And I think that was the biggest one that I needed, because I knew I was not about to do multifamily without that. And that help is there freely to give. They will offer you as much information as you need to be successful. So
I had one, and that was that you had said that there were deals all day long. And I remember you said that you would even like get on Facebook, and if somebody, like if there were houses that nobody jumped on, you would jump on them just to spite them.
that was awesome.
And I love that, because I was like, all right, well, they're out there. And then as soon as I did become a PIG member, you get inundated. I still get inundated with the amount of properties that come through.
Yeah.
So deals are out there.
And you know what? A greedy person would, in your position, would have taken that house and bought it without telling anybody about it so you can make some more money. No, you're like, please, someone take this deal. If you don't, I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna show you how much money I make on it.
Yep.
And like that just like that creates a trust, right? And then there's another system that I love that's in place with lifestyles, is tagging properties. And not to get into, I want to kind of give the eagle eye view of it, but if you tag a property and you get that property, not another lifestyles member can come in and outbid you. So you don't get in a bidding war inside of lifestyles.
I'll teach you guys this weekend. We believe in the abundance mentality. There's enough for everybody. We do not compete. If one guy's doing a deal, it's his deal. Nobody else can touch that deal. There'll be another one. Don't worry, guys. And I'll teach that. It's about integrity.
You don't get that anywhere else, because this real estate is a dog eat dog world. It is. You can die on it. So and lifestyles in that, they want to see you succeed. So
cool. So anybody else you want to give a shout out to, guys?
Yeah, Sadie was fantastic.
Yeah.
She made sure that when we signed our PSA, the purchase sale agreement, all the way to close, she just had everything organized
Yeah.
and made the phone calls, the emails, handheld, essentially,
Yeah.
really. And I needed it. So that was great. Of course, Alex, we have talked about that and he was
He's all right.
he's amazing.
Very mediocre, that's what
And Mia has been great too, just on very specific questions when it comes to when it came to my rent roll or different just
Yeah.
the lease agreements, Blue Moon software, any kind of thing that actually was very specific to the property and how to run it. Mia was great for that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. She is.
Are you guys willing to take questions from all the people out there listening?
Sure.
Okay.
Are we willing to?
Yeah, I want you to be.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry, you broke up. Yeah, that's for sure. I don't know if I can answer them all, but
Hey, answer whatever you can. What you can't, don't worry. Alex will know everything.
I got you guys.
Yeah.
Google, I have Alex. He knows everything. But we're waiting for, where is she? Danielle, there she is. She even had a cheat sheet up there with Dellisms.
Exactly, got to be prepared. David, look for me.
Can match.
I said, David, look at your cell phone.
Look at, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, I do have a lot of really good questions here, and I've been answering some, so I'm going to scroll up, and some of them I'm going to read off, just so that way we can hear y'all's response. But the first question that I have is from Kimberly, and Kimberly said, what are the key players in the game that streamline and make this more effective?
The key players,
I couldn't hear you.
it kind of cut out a second. The key players in the game that.
So I think they said the key players in the game that streamline the process and make it more effective. So I think they're asking, like, the people that you hire, what are the most important people that you have to do to build your team?
Okay. We had Sadie, she was our real estate agent.
Yeah.
And then we had a Dodson Legal Group. He was our real estate attorney. So he was very instrumental in formulating our contract and making sure all of those details went all the way through.
And real quick on that, like in residential, what I used to be, and I did all of that stuff. So it was pretty simple. This, you need a lawyer. You need someone that will, I mean, he found so many mistakes in the contract that could have cost us thousands. And so, so very important to have a good lawyer. He is great.
We hired a insurance, a lifestyles vendor for our insurance.
Yep.
We did contact a property tax attorney through Lifestyles. So we haven't actually officially needed them yet, but if we do want to contest that, then we would do that. We would use them.
And if you remember, Lifestyles has vendor lists. You know, I'm actually one as a roofer on there, not the roofer, but a roofer. But you have vendors, and so you can. They're not going to be allowed to stay in Lifestyles if they're doing people wrong. And so and your realtor might change from property to property. But you know, and you might go from one mentor to the next. You know, I probably won't, but you have that ability. It's just who you feel comfortable with, and there's so those ones that we've mentioned that were on that screen are a big team, and we're going to grow it. You know, we'll probably, if we do end up bringing on a property management company because it's just too much for us to take on. You know, we got someone like an OmniKey or something like that that's a lifestyle vendor. So you know, that's you know, every situation is going to be different. You know, if an IRO versus, you know, versus a lead, you know, so those are all, but I think the ones that she mentioned that are on the slide are very, very helpful. If that answers the question.
Definitely. Next question I have is from Corey, and he said, why did you choose to do this but as an IRO instead of a syndication? So I think he's a little confused. Yeah. So he's asking, why did you decide to be a lead, I guess, versus an IRO?
So we wanted to start small. That's what Lifestyles recommends. You don't want to start too big and you don't want to start too small. And so we felt like the 14 unit property was the right size for us. The Go ahead.
So as a IRO, you make more money
Right, that was,
out of that. Okay.
no, I was
didn't
just
know
saying, no,
that you
that's
were going
no,
there.
that's what
Sorry.
that's the route I'm going. So when we the people that we the owner that we bought it from, he had a management company. He was a lead investor in it, and so he syndicated the deal. So he had other investors in it, and it didn't, for us, it didn't seem profitable enough for us to do all those things. We wanted to be more of an hour, and it's, kind of like you get in, you learn more that way. And that's our goal has always been mostly to be IROs. That's the direction that we want to take.
Matt,
Will I ever be a lead? I don't know.
did you buy this deal off another Lifestyles member before, or?
Yes.
Okay, so, I mean, just think of that. I just want the people out there listening to understand this, and you don't have to share the information on it, but didn't they make like double their money too? Or whatever, or did they do good?
I
I
don't
don't know really what they made.
I don't know.
Alex, you might know more about that.
No, I don't. I don't know what their returns were.
Well,
No.
but what I'm saying is people usually leave meat on the bone for the next guy. It'll
Yeah.
go from one number to another, then they go to a bigger deal and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and there was meat on the bones. There's still 7 properties that we need to remodel in there if we can ever get a vacancy, So, but that's why we chose. That's the route that we wanted. Will I ever be a lead and syndicate a deal? I don't know. That's not my desire, honestly. But if the right deal comes up, then I might jump on it. So.
And Matt, I had another question was messaged to me. A guy was saying, when you're looking at the deal first, I know Alex and me were super conservative on our numbers. When you first projected it, did you have it more calmed down to the returns than what you actually got once you actually were in the deal?
Yeah.
Was it like we're projecting a 6% return, then you ended up with a 10%? I just want to know that because that's how we project most of our deals. We send them out to our investors. Like I'll send out a deal to my investors, 6% return the first year, 8% the second, hopefully by a third it'll be 10%. That's what we say, and maybe a 50% return, and then we end up doing better. I just want to know if you ran your numbers conservative.
We did, and it was about half of that, but the approach that we learned through Lifestyles is the worst number has to work for you.
Good.
If it
And I
doesn't,
want people to understand that are listening, that when we project, I know it's turned out to be an awesome deal over 200% return, but you probably project a much lower return at first, correct?
I did, but that lower number worked for us. If it didn't, then we would have walked. And so, but yeah, it definitely, when you see it come in double what you were expecting. And now, granted, our first year, I did with my bank get an interest only. So there's no principal in that. So we'll be paying principal next year. But by next year, we'll have several rents raised and probably a couple remodeled where we're going to be almost a wash, maybe a little under that. So, but so that might fudge with the numbers a little bit, but even at that, the numbers are still great. So
Good.
might take it from a 13.
Yeah, because that'll answer his question. I just want to make sure we answered that.
Yeah, sure.
Next question I have is from George and Lisa, and they said, did the LU realtor bring this property to you because of what you said to your mentor, or how did you get this property? Like, was it blasted out, or did you go to the realtor directly?
So, yes, it came to us directly because we were very aggressive. We were with Sadie, and she had already viewed, and with Alex, three other properties that just weren't right. We had one in Denton that Alex is like, I don't think this is good, so we walked. We had one in Weatherford, it just didn't work. And we had another one, and so Sadie's like, I'm going to bring this one to you. I think this is perfect for what you're looking for. If it's not, then I'm going to tag you on it. If it's not, just let us know quickly so we can bring it on to someone else. But yeah, that's how it happened. She brought it to us. But I don't know if she would have had we not been aggressive and shown that we were serious. So
I'd like to add to that also, David, if I may. So Matt and Stephanie, when they're saying aggressive, they were. I mean, they were following the rules. They had the liquidity. They were ready to roll. They had the relationships with the lenders. The whole team was formed, and they were going after and checking out these deals. They were running the MFQ or the analysis. For those you hear me saying MFQA, it's multifamily quick analysis, and it's a spreadsheet that's available to all the preferred investor groups. You hear the term PIG, it's just an acronym, Preferred Investor Group. Okay, so
The people
it's
that do it.
available. Yeah, the preferred members. So they were running these. They would ask their agent, multifamily agent, for the documents. They'd run their numbers. They'd email it to me. We'd go through it all together. And if we liked what we saw, the numbers made sense, we'd set up a tour. We'd go to the property. And we did this a handful of times until we came across this one. When I say came across it, they received the call from their agent, Sadie, said, hey, check this one out, run it. Then after you run it, talk to your mentor about it, and then make a decision on what you guys would like to do. So they did it, and they didn't waste any time. They were just on it. Bam, 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 bam. And boom, because they put in the time, the hard work, and the effort, they got this deal.
And really quick, because I want people to understand this, how we have integrity lifestyles. And Alex will say, this deal doesn't work, don't buy it. And Sadie probably told you, hey, we looked at this deal, it's not the right numbers for you. How many realtors in the outside world would say that's not the right deal? No, they want the commission. But that's powerful, right, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. I deal with a lot of shady realtors and have for 10 years. And the numbers work for you because it works for them. That's how they look at it. That is not here. I mean, the honest, and granted, you've got to let the realtors know what your goals are, what your budget is, what you're looking for. So then they can give you, hey, look, Sadie would never come out and tell us, do not get this deal. She'll say, hey, look, this is what you're looking for. This is what it looks like. I don't think it fits, but I need you to make that decision, right? And Alex would do the same thing. I think Alex might probably tell me no, but just honestly, like, he's like, no, Matt, you're not seeing it how I need to see it. So I think that the realtors in the real world are not, they're not out for your best interests, and the lifestyles they are.
Next question I have is from Samuel, and he said, how far away is this property from where you live?
About 50 minutes, no traffic. So, but most of your work on these deals is buying the property. That is when you spend most of your hours. And so now I drive down there 2, maybe 3 times a month. And then in the summer I'll be down there mowing the lawn. I don't care, whatever it takes. But most of the work. So it's not like I'm driving there every day at 7 a.m. fighting traffic and coming back at 5. I'll go down there to pick up checks. I'll go down there to drop off some invoices, and then I'll come back to pick them up. And and if I need to go and look at something inside the house, if a lock is sticking that I can fix, I'll go do it. But the travel didn't really matter to us. I didn't want my first one to be 2 or 3 hours away, but 50 minutes to an hour is doable. So.
And just so the new folks know, we don't teach to actually go out there and fix the locks and stuff. That's a choice Matt makes, and I have no problem with him doing it. But I'm just saying, most of our guys, I'm an engineer, I don't want to do any of that crap. They just hire people for that. But there's nothing wrong. Matt has experience in the industry. That's why he knows this stuff. So he's utilized that skill set he has.
Yeah.
Next question I have is from Roberto, and he said, how are you improving the property to increase the net operating income in year 1 from that 80,000 to 98,000 in year 2?
So how we were able to get the NOI to jump up significantly was decreasing the economic vacancy, which just basically means we don't let apartments sit vacant. So when we had bought it, the economic vacancy was higher than what we definitely will leave it at. So that swing was like $5,000 just there. Then not having a property management company, that definitely helped from takeover to this year. And then just being able to, like, just like we said, he being able to do some of the hands-on things just because he's out in the area anyway, checking on, doing his other work with roofing and stuff. He'll swing by, make it to where it's not out of his time or take too much time to just be able to do the maintenance, some maintenance things. So
Have you
that
raised,
costs too.
you guys raised the rents at all from when you bought it? Like,
Yeah, and
Five
that
times.
definitely, yeah. So we have
how much the rents go up, you think, on a unit?
we've done a $50 increments every time.
So $50, that's huge, guys, $50 increments, that's where the real big bump is.
Yeah, there's that, but then also when we bought it, there was a vacant one that was previously rented at $750 a month, and it was actually almost $700, I think. Anyway, $750, and we renovated it and leased it out for $900.
See, there's where your big increase is, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know it was in there somewhere.
And so we have a someone's lease coming up in May 31st. It's a resident that doesn't take care of the place, and she says she's not renewing. And we already have someone that's ready to sign a contract to move in.
And it'll probably go up that 900 then, right?
And
Or whatever.
900. And that's what I want to talk with Alex about it. Like, hey, they want to move in the same day that people move out. I'm not gonna have time to renovate it, but so we'll talk. I got to talk about that, Alex.
I've got some hot sports opinions on that. But here's the for those listening, again, I cannot stress enough. You hear they put up the banner, just the phone number, right? He gets 30 calls a day. Like, I'm gonna have conversations, and we're gonna test the market and see if we can get over 1,000 a unit.
Exactly.
Right? I'm just saying, when you're at 100%, it gives you the ability. You have flexibility to push your rents until you get pushed back, right? Because out of 30 people, and you're running these applications, and you get a good resident who wants to move in, who can afford it, they meet all the criteria. And again, everybody the same. There's a criteria. Check, 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 check. And boom, here's the rent. You're willing to pay it. You qualify, you're in. Just like that. And then we realize
People are willing to pay for a nice place. I have an apartment just yesterday. I had Nathan Rice. He's one of our preferred members from Austin. Was down at my apartments, and the existing resident was $350, and the new resident moved in after we renovated that unit, and we got $850. He says, "There's no way somebody's going to pay that big of a difference." And then he saw the guy walking into the apartment. He's like, "I can't believe you did that." I'm like, "You have to believe in your product. That's the whole."
Yeah.
absolutely.
And a nice product. We've got one gentleman that's been there over 20 years.
Mhm.
People want to stay there, and so that's what you want. You don't want to come in and want people to leave.
Matt, that's telling me you really need to talk to Alex because he's probably right on 1,000. Okay. So your next case study will be even better.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be like double pee in your pants, maybe even poop your pants inside. I don't know. Awesome. Danny, let's take one more.
Okay, one more? Well,
Yeah.
I have one that I thought was funny. Frank
I
asked,
think I have 300 of them, but
are metal roofs a good value?
Or what?
Do what?
Are metal roofs a good value?
Metal roofs? Boy, that's a loaded question. For a rental?
For a barn, yes.
Yeah, for a rental? No. For a rental, you put on, for commercial maybe, but when I'm not in that business. As far as rentals here, is metal a good roof to put on? Put my roofing hat on, very good roof to put on. But in the multifamily rental, no. You want to put on a good roof, but you don't want to kill your budget on it. It's 3 times the cost.
3-tab or multi-dimensional, that's it. You don't need to go further than that.
Yeah. Good question though.
Yeah.
Okay, so for Matt and Stephanie, that's actually all the questions that I have. So I'm going to drop off for a second.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I really appreciate it.